farewell to the old sea dog. The funeral was supposed to be a solemn occasion, a final anchors away for Uncle Albert, the man who had survived the Battle of the Baltic and countless other wartime sagas that had bored his nephews to tears. "Best leave it till the hearse arrives," Dell whispered to Rodney as they stood outside the chapel. They met a woman named Marion who had cleaned for Albert. "Lovely old man," she said. "Went on a bit." "I feel bad," Dell admitted, looking at the casket, "leaving him here on his own while we were off globe-trotting. He didn't even have a passport. Good job Hitler didn't find that out." They entered the chapel, joined by a man named Roland, who claimed to be related to Albert's niece. "I suppose we'll all miss him in our way," Roland said, though his tone was less than reverent. "I'll tell you one thing we won't miss, though. All those bloody wartime sagas." Those eyes narrowed. "Actually, Roland, we used to love hearing about his past." "God, he did go on, though," Roland persisted. "Never bloody stopped." Dell stepped closer to the man. "You've got to remember that a lot of blokes lost their lives for our liberty, just so that 50 years later, prats like you would have the freedom to knock them. All right? Take it easy, Dell," Rodney cautioned. "No, I'm serious," Dell said, his voice rising. "I think you and I ought to go outside and have a more detailed chat." The tension was broken by the arrival of the hearse. But as the pallbearers moved past, Damien pointed a finger. "Is that a Spitfire, Dad?" Dell looked at the floral arrangements. "Oh, we're at the wrong funeral." Chapter 5. The Bankruptcy and the Broom. Back in the flat, the reality of the court's decision finally settled. "The court declared me bankrupt," Dell announced to Raquel and Cassandra. "Does that mean you're going to prison?" Damien asked, almost hopefully. "No," Dell snapped. "The Inland Revenue give you a year to pay off your debt. Then they come in and take all your goods, anything of value. So it won't affect us." Then Rodney quipped. "We have got something of value," Raquel said softly. "This flat, our home." Dell looked around the cramped living room. "I suppose I could always look for a job. Trigger said they're recruiting down at his depot. Road sweeping." The thought of Del Boy the man who once sold 1,000 genuine Russian watches sweeping the gutters of Peckham was too much for Raquel to bear. "I was talking about Rodney," she said. "Me?" Rodney stammered. "Can you honestly see me pushing a broom around?" "It's all right," Dell said, a new plan already forming in his hyperactive mind. "They give training." Dell knew he couldn't run a company while bankrupt, but Rodney was clean. "Trotter's Independent Traders is no more," Dell said, performing a mournful sigh. "It's Caput, dead as the emu. Unless..." "Unless what?" Rodney asked. "Unless there was someone out there. Someone young and enthusiastic. Someone full of ideas. Someone like, well, you Rodney. Me? Rodney blinked. Legally, there is nothing to stop me taking over Trotter's independent traders. Exactly. Dell beamed. Rodney Trotter, managing director. It's got a ring to it, don't it? Chapter 6. The Sultan of Brunei. The transition to Rodney's leadership was subtle. In reality, Dell remained the architect of every scheme, while Rodney provided the clean signature for the bank. One evening, the phone rang a call that promised a return to the glory days. Trotter's independent traders, managing director Rodney Trotter speaking. Rodney said, trying to sound executive. Good evening. I am wishing to speak with managing director. A voice with a thick, unfamiliar accent replied. I am representative of the Sultan of Brunei. Rodney's eyes widened. He covered the receiver. Dell, you'll never guess who's on the phone. It's the Sultan of Brunei. Dell and Trigger leaned in, listening intently. His Highness, he would like you to fly to Brunei and be his consultant. The voice continued. Recently, His Highness bought a crappy old three-wheeled van, and he wants to know where to start it on cold mornings. Rodney's face fell. He recognized the laughter in the background. Yeah, I had you going there, didn't I? The voice changed to the familiar, mocking tones of Mickey Pierce. Oh, shove it, Mickey. Just shove it. Rodney slammed the phone down. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Dave's just had a big row with the Sultan of Brunei, Trigger noted, completely missing the joke. Chapter 7. Memory Baggage. The strain of their financial downfall was taking a toll on Rodney and Cassandra's marriage. Desperate to rekindle the fire, Rodney turned to a man's magazine, the serious kind, not the ones Dell hid under the sofa. Cass, we need to try something, Rodney said over dinner at a quiet restaurant. I've been reading about this psychological healing process. It's called fantasy therapy. Cassandra looked skeptical. Does this involve dressing up? Absolutely not. Rodney lied quickly. It's about iconoclastic autosuggestion, the subconscious rejecting reality. We become different. People to unload our memory baggage. It's about remembering to forget. All right, Cassandra sighed. I'm willing to give it a try. Good, Rodney smiled. Now, each person writes down their fantasy figure, and the other person becomes that figure for a little while. He handed her a slip of paper. She looked at it and then back at him. So am I supposed to be her? And you, Rodney said, looking at the name she wrote, you fancy him? The plan was set, but as often happened with the Trotters, the line between fantasy and a police report was dangerously thin. Chapter 8. The Gladiator and the Law. A few nights later, the Trotter flat was the site of a bizarre transformation. Dell and Raquel were preparing to go out, while Rodney and Cassandra were deep in their therapeutic exercise. The door flew open, and Cassandra walked in. looking stunning in a full policewoman's uniform, handcuffs,